You, Donald, and good evening, everybody.
Okay, I'm listening. You have my attention.
Well, yes, it's the royal wedding. We can't escape it. There's a huge amount of coverage of it everywhere. I've said recently that I think, in general, the royal family are more popular now than they've probably ever been. A lot of that is to do with this younger generation of royals who seem to be more approachable and seem to be more engaged.
What do you mean by that?
And we remember the wedding just a few years ago of William and Kate, when everything seemed to go absolutely swimmingly. And yeah, sure, there was talk about one of Kate's uncles, and perhaps he'd done some things in Ibiza that maybe he shouldn't, but it all seemed to go very smoothly. As this wedding approaches, I have a slightly different feeling about it.
Okay.
Now, it all started with a website in America called TMZ. It's a gossip celebrity website, and they go around Beverly Hills and LA and elsewhere and take a whole load of photographs of celebrities and well-known people.
Why? Why?
I have to admit I've been trailed around by them, and one or two photographs of me in LA that they published that weren't perhaps all that flattering. But, you know, that is the world of website gossip. It's not in any way mainstream media. And the story was that Meghan Markle's dad, Thomas, he's in his early 70s, he's a retired lighting director, worked in Hollywood, worked on some big films, actually. He's not had such a great time in the last few years. His health has not been great. Financially, things have not been good. And he's living in Mexico in, I think it's fair to say, fairly strained circumstances. But he's never been, ever, in the front of anything. He was a tech guy involved in Hollywood.
What?
And the story was, as we saw a series of photographs last week of him being measured up for a suit, etc., the story came out on TMZ that, in fact, these photographs had been staged. And when I say staged, done in cooperation with a member of the paparazzi.
Well, duh.
Some people have said money changed hands. We've no idea whether that's true, whether it was a tiny amount or a large amount. But what we do know is that the Mail on Sunday ran this as their front page. Exclusive. Meghan's dad staged photos with the paparazzi.
That doesn't make sense.
And that, on the front page of Britain's biggest selling Sunday newspaper, suddenly changed the whole game. Within 24 hours, we're getting Meg Dad, I won't go to the wedding. The next day we get I'll be there. That's quite clever, I suppose. I'll give them credit for that. We get, I'm just too ill to walk Meghan down the aisle. And right now, we have absolutely no idea whether the father of the bride is going to be there to walk her down the aisle.
Come on now, dawg.
And I'm asking you, is this obsession that the media have with Meghan Markle's family now tarnishing what should have been a great day this Saturday? And if you think, yep, the tabloids are completely over the top with their coverage and their level of intrusion, then call me on 0345 6060 973.
Okay.
Or maybe you think, no, it's all fair game, these people are in the public domain, then you can text to 84850. Or maybe you think, actually, it isn't really the tabloid newspapers that should take the blame for this, because after all, that's kind of what tabloid newspapers do. Why was Thomas Markle not protected in any way at all? Why, given the wedding's in 3 days' time, has he not even had a rehearsal for walking her up the aisle? Given that this event is expected to be watched by between 1 and 2 billion people globally. Surely Buckingham Palace, with all their knowledge of the global interest that comes with royal weddings, surely they must have known that at some point there would be investigations.
Fact.
into all sorts of aspects of the Markle family, but in particular that they'd be looking at Thomas Markle and indeed at her mother as well. And I have to say, you know, I do think that the tabloids are very intrusive in this country.
Okay.
And often use tactics of surveillance and intrusion that sail pretty close to the wind as far as the law is concerned. And, you know, I've not always been happy with some of the things that they've written or some of the methods by which they've gone about getting those stories. But isn't this really a complete and total mess-up by Buckingham Palace? This guy should have been protected. You know, we've seen in the past all sorts of problems caused for the royal family by the media. Surely it was obvious this guy should have been protected. Now, what I'm told is that there were some press officers from the palace who were out with him up until 10 days ago, and then they've left him.
Why? Why?
Surely he should have been here in London. Surely, he should have been looked after. And frankly, he's been thrown to the media wolves. He's been portrayed as a money grabber, and we don't yet know whether he's coming to the wedding or not. And I would have thought, for Meghan Markle, this is all pretty distressing stuff.
Boy.
I have to say, I don't think he is a money grabber. Why do I say that? Well, for the last year, we've known this wedding was going to be taking place. He could at any point in the last year, if he's a money grabber, and given that he is a bit financially down on his luck, he could at any point in the last year have gone to one of the big global media organisations and told his story, the story of the family, the story of Meghan growing up as a girl.
What is he doing?
He could have done that at any point over the course of the last year, and by doing that, he could have made himself an awful lot of money. And I feel pretty sorry, actually, for the Markle family right at this moment in time, and I feel pretty sorry for Harry and Meghan. It is completely unfair that this guy has been left by the palace to the media wolves.
Appointment is immeasurable.
That's what I think, and I think it is tarnishing the big day. What does Steve in the Forest of Dean think?
Well, Steve pretty much agrees with you, as usual, Nigel. They've left that poor bloke completely unarmed, at the complete mercy of this ludicrous media that we have roaming around us. It's just insane. I need someone to help me understand why the prince hasn't even met him at any point. What is going on?
Well, I mean, Steve, we've had a lot of stories about the health of Thomas Markle. Now, what we are now being told is that he is having some form of operation today, Steve. Whether that's a stent or whether it's open heart surgery, we don't know. Presumably, if it is open heart surgery, there's no chance of him coming. If it's a stent, then he probably could hop on an aeroplane and get here.
Okay.
But would he even want to come now, Steve, if he thinks he might be a distraction?
Of course he wouldn't. At the end of the day, he's been left now with absolutely no choice. He can't turn. He's taken all the thunder of the whole day away already. He is now the media attention, the centre of everything, rather than where it should be. It's just insane. It's like a deranged press obsession, as we get so often in this country.